This is the Outsource Accelerator Podcast, exploring business and outsourcing mastery. Let's do it. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Outsource Accelerator. My name is Derek Gallimore, and we are joined by Mike Grogan today. Mike, if you haven't listened to episode 6, go and listen to episode 6, where we also interview Mike Grogan and we introduce him and his mission and what he's doing. Mike, very briefly, is a motivational guy. He is an author. He is a speaker. He is a coach. And significantly, he is an Irish guy based in the Philippines and really believes in the power of the Filipino and in building a world-class Philippines and Filipino tribe. Okay, so Mike's a great guy. He has a lot of insight into good habits, good routines, and how to get the best out of people. So today we are discussing with Mike exactly that. How do you get the best out of your people? And both from a empowerment point of view, but also from a performance point of view. We look at that generally, people generally, and then how that relates to the Philippines specifically. So if you have an office here with staffing, or you are looking to consider that, then this episode is for you because there's interesting insight. Okay, enjoy the episode. If you want any of the show notes, if you want to get in touch with Mike Grogan or anything he is involved in, please go to our show notes, and that is at outsourceaccelerator.com/podcast/episode 26. Enjoy. So we're back with Mike Grogan. Hi, Mike. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
And today we are going a little bit left of center, and we're talking about morning routine and habits. So there's probably a lot of podcast listeners out there that know about these things. And personally, I am a big fan of morning routine and habits, and it seems also Mike is, and has now written a book on the topic called Unlocking the Habit Code. Now, Mike Grogan has been on the show a couple of times before, and he is a best-selling author. He is a reputed speaker and celebrates the strengths of Filipinos. And the habit code, I think I'll let Mike explain, but interlocks brilliantly with that for very good reason. Do you want to outline why you've written a book, which is more broad? And I think also you're not necessarily focusing on the Filipinos for this, but how have you gone from celebrating the strengths of people and optimizing behaviors to morning rituals and habits?
Sure. Well, for me, this is my third book, and I asked myself this question: if I could only write one more book, and this would be my last ever book, for example. Not that I hope to write more after this, but if I could only write one, what would it be? And this is it. And I really believe the power of. There's so much myths about behavioral change, about when we try to change behavior. For example, when we try and change our health, or when we try and stop destructive habits, or when we try and grow our business, or we try and recover from a broken relationship, or we try and switch careers, whatever it is, I really believe that the power of habits. And I believe that there's a total myth about behavioral change. When we see people that are successful at it, we make lazy assumptions, including me. I've made lazy assumptions that, that person has got better willpower and more discipline. And I believe that is total false. That is not the entire picture. I believe that behavioral change, habit creation is easy if you follow the right formula and you focus on the right things. That's the core of the book.
Willpower is clearly a muscle, isn't it? I mean, I have a personal interest in health and longevity, and muscle is clearly a muscle, but they're also saying that neurons and brain connective tissue is also needs to be exercised like a muscle. But then there's also willpower, isn't there, which equally is a muscle, and it fatigues. And if you're still trying to stick to your guns and it's 11 p.m. at night and you haven't eaten all day, then it's going to be a weakened muscle, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So what are the routines that instill positive habits then, or the process to discover those?
Well, the problem this book wants to solve is not a knowledge problem. So as I've outlined in the book, what I want to help, most people know exactly what they need to do. And if I were to ask your listeners in terms of what are the daily changes that you need to create in your life, most people, I would say 90% of people know what they should do. Eat healthier, be more disciplined, wake up on time, whatever that may be. I believe that's not our number one problem. Our number one problem is in the application area. And for me and for millions of people around the world, testifying to the power that the start of the day, and for some people wake up at different times in the day, whatever that start time is. For me, it's 6 a.m. For you, it could be earlier or later. But getting your day off to the right start by practicing the right set of habits, whatever those may be for you, has such a huge psychological effect on you winning that day, you optimizing the day. So for me, one of the best personal changes I've made has been a morning ritual. Now, what I do, and I do when people ask me what I actually do, actually before this call, it was one of the first questions he asked me. Yeah, there's things I do that others would consider strange. There's things that you would agree with. But for me, knowledge of what to do is not the biggest problem. It's actually making it a habit. So I'm not avoiding your question.
Yeah.
So
No.
would you like me to pick some habits that I do that really help? Or
is there a potential for conflicting ideas? And because there is a lot of ambiguity out there and conflicts of this is the right thing, this isn't the right thing. Even such fundamental conflicts of live in the moment versus make a plan. There's sort of a lot of conflicting advice for people. And how do they know that what they're launching into is necessarily setting them on the right path?
Well, that's where they must experiment. I mean, my call to action in the book is a 21-day challenge to experiment on your own morning ritual.
Right.
And I think I totally fail as the author, and you waste your time as the reader if you just read this book to consume more knowledge. We don't need to listen to more TED Talks, listen to more podcasts, read more books. Our biggest problem is application. So my real call to action is, okay, I'll show you. In the book, you read 7 stories of how 7 different people transformed in 21 days, that you can read their morning rituals. I share my morning rituals, but it's not about whose is better. It's about how are you going to experiment with yours.
Right.
And we believe that you need at least a minimum 21 days to experiment to see the value of your own ritual.
Yeah. And how have you found this? So are you weaving this into the messages in your existing talks and existing programs at the moment? And how do you find how is your experience with relaying this message and your experience with the existing morning rituals in the Philippines compared to Ireland or the West in inverted commas?
Okay. Well, the book, the sister to the book is the training programs that I do focus on this. So only a few days ago, I ran a program, and we hope to run these programs every month, if not twice a month, in Metro Manila. At the weekends for individuals, this program more is calling on individuals for them to come and go on this 21-day journey. So the reaction has been extremely inspiring for me, and it's nothing to do with me. I really believe it. The workshop we just did was 9 hours. I talked for less than 10% of that time. And what gives me most joy, it really is creating an environment. I really believe if you ask the right people, if you have the right people in the room, you ask them the right questions in the right way and give them enough time, they'll figure out the answers. So the recipe or the formula that I give people in the book and the workshops, it's just questions. It really is. But I get them in the right state of mind first, because you really have to be in a positive state of mind. Then they answer 15 questions, which is the formula for touching on all the elements of behavioral change.
Right.
We actually, the beauty of this, I tell people in the book and in the workshop, I'm not telling you anything new. Your subconscious mind already knows this. We know how to form habits, and none of our listeners, successful businessmen and women, would be listening to this without having already got in your life success habits. We already know how to form success habits in our subconscious mind. The book and in my workshops, all it wants to do is bring that awareness to your conscious mind.
And we intrinsically know what a good habit is and what a bad habit is, don't we? I mean, it's pretty obvious there. One of the significant differences about the Philippine workforce, and especially within the BPO workforce, is the impact of shift working. So any person working for an American BPO, they are up through the night. There's a huge impact on then sleep and diet and lifestyle. And it is a massive normality for the Filipinos to work not only a night shift but a variety of shifts. Have you seen an impact of that and how it affects people's functioning, or whether it's so normalized now that it doesn't?
Well, it does. We have to be realistic with the working shift. I've worked them when I was junior. Actually, chemical engineering is my background. I'm going off on a tangent. I used to work night shifts. They do have effect on the body if you don't look after yourself. There's a lot of chronic health issues in the Philippines. Not necessarily because of the night shift, but the Filipinos are not able to manage their night shift correctly in terms of especially food, especially sleeping environments, especially addiction to social media. As you know,
and the blue light,
fake light, stealing energy. So really, when we share some of these habits, it's really small, tiny things that they can do to optimize themselves, so that they go to work with a high performance mindset. It doesn't matter what time. For example, if they start their shift, you can still use this approach to your morning ritual. Could be whenever you wake up from your deep sleep.
Right. That's
what I want to focus on. If it's during the day or if it's during the night, whenever you wake up, it's having that time where you dedicate yourself to growing, and that has a positive. It really is of a positive effect when you go into work.
Because that is actually maybe a significant insight we can make. A day in life. These guys do have it a little bit rougher than what we would consider normal within our societies. They can sometimes travel 2 hours to work and back. They're traveling through heavy rains. They're doing night shift. And then often they're not necessarily having the best sleeping arrangements, proper bedrooms, and things like that. So it is something really to consider, isn't it, in terms of their overall health and getting the best out of them.
It's always meeting people where they're at. Where I live, where you live, where most of our listeners live, the environment is so different. Far more, in most cases, extremely more comfortable. So it's really the empathy to care for your workers and to help improve their situations by education, by really educating them, and you can optimize your how you start your day.
Sure. That's great. Thank you very much, Mike.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that chat with Mike Grogan. He's got a lot of great insights. If you want any more information on Mike, if you want to get in touch, if you want to buy his books, please do so. But if you want any more information, do go to our show notes, and all of his contact details are there, including also the transcripts for this episode and more. The show notes are at outsourceaccelerator.com/podcast/episode 26.